Just one vitamin. The key to independent living after 60? As we age, one of the most significant challenges we face is a decline in our muscle strength, particularly in our legs. This can make even the most basic actions, such as standing up, walking, and climbing stairs, incredibly challenging. According to figures, 1 in every 4 people over the age of 65 sustains an injury as a result of a fall each year. Falls are the leading cause of injury among senior citizens. On the other hand, here is the good news: you have the ability to advocate for yourself. Even if you are 94 years old, there is one essential vitamin that is vital for maintaining strong, solid, and resilient legs. If you do not receive sufficient amounts of it, the rate at which your muscles degenerate will be accelerated. However, if you make sure that the levels are right, you will be able to maintain your freedom and movement for a significant amount of time in the future. Exactly what is this vitamin that is so important? And what are the reasons that it is so important for the health of the elderly? Vitamin D, the cornerstone of strong legs. If you want your legs to be strong, you need to get enough vitamin D in the context of bone health. Vitamin D is often thought of as being important. However, the power of your muscles and your mobility are equally important. Inadequate levels of vitamin D have been associated with a number of negative health outcomes, including muscle weakness, problems with balance, and an increased chance of falling. This is a combination that poses a significant risk for elderly people. According to a study that was published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society, individuals who took vitamin D supplements had a 23% lower risk of falling compared to those who did not take the supplement. The findings of another study, published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism, showed that senior citizens who had low levels of vitamin D had weaker leg muscles and walked at slower speeds. When vitamin D levels are low, the body has a difficult time absorbing calcium, which leads to a gradual weakening of the bones and muscles. This can exacerbate sarcopenia, a loss of muscle mass that is associated with aging and affects nearly half of all people over the age of 80. To put it another way, as you get older, maintaining your strength in your legs, preventing falls, and keeping active are all dependent on vitamin D. The shocking prevalence of vitamin D deficiency in older adults. When it comes to the older population in particular, the frequency of vitamin D insufficiency is shockingly significant. There are some shocking figures that have been uncovered by studies. More than 60% of senior citizens have vitamin D levels that are not enough. According to the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, among elderly people with low vitamin D levels, the risk of serious falls and fractures is twice as high as in younger people. In women over the age of 65 who take vitamin D supplements, the incidence of hip fractures is reduced by 22%. Opening parenthesis. Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Management of Metabolism. Journal of New England Medicine Journal. It is especially important for senior citizens to take extra precautions to ensure that they consume an adequate amount of vitamin D since, as they become older, their bodies become less able to produce vitamin D from exposure to sunlight. Vitamin D is essential for keeping healthy bones, increasing immune system function, and preserving muscle function. It also plays a role in determining an individual's likelihood of having a vitamin D shortage. However, a significant number of people do not consume sufficient quantities of this vital nutrient, which may result in adverse health effects. Common symptoms indicating vitamin D deficiency. These typical symptoms can indicate that there is a deficiency. Muscle weakness. A lack of vitamin D can manifest itself in a number of ways. One of the most obvious being muscle weakness, a deficiency in vitamin D which is necessary for the proper functioning of muscles, could be the reason why your legs always feel weak or unsteady, particularly when you stand up or walk, due to the fact that it is more difficult to maintain stability when you have poor balance and weak muscles. This weakness may also be the cause of frequent falls, because of the natural decline in vitamin D levels that occurs with advancing age. Elderly people are particularly susceptible to this condition. Bone discomfort. Discomfort in the bones, particularly in the legs, joints, or lower back, is another significant indicator. It is possible for bones to become more prone to pain or discomfort if they do not receive an adequate amount of vitamin D. Slow wound healing. Due to the fact that vitamin D facilitates the body's ability to absorb calcium. If you notice that your wounds are healing slowly, this may be an indication that you are lacking something, due to the fact that vitamin D is essential for the repair of tissues. A deficiency in it can be detrimental to the healing process and increase the likelihood of infections. Leg cramps or spasms. It is also possible to experience leg cramps or spasms, particularly during the nighttime hours. Having insufficient levels of vitamin D can lead to frequent cramping, which can disrupt sleep and make it difficult to move around in general. This is because vitamin D helps govern the contractions of muscles. Those of you who are experiencing any of these symptoms ought to consult with a medical professional as soon as possible. A simple blood test can be used to determine whether or not your vitamin D levels are low. This can be accomplished by taking supplements, making changes to your diet, or increasing the amount of time you spend in the sun, as recommended by your physician. How to boost your vitamin D levels. Increase sun exposure. Getting more sunlight is one of the most effective ways to enhance the amount of vitamin D that you take in. When your skin is exposed to sunlight, it immediately begins to produce vitamin D on its own. Nevertheless, as you get older, your skin's capacity to convert sunlight into vitamin D decreases, which increases the likelihood that you may have a deficiency. At least 3 or 4 times per week, you should make an effort to spend 20 to 30 minutes outside in direct sunlight. This will help you improve your vitamin D levels. Midday, between the hours of 10 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon, is the optimal time for the formation of vitamin D because the sun's rays are at their strongest. In the event that you live in a region that experiences lengthy winters or a great deal of cloud cover, you might not obtain enough exposure to the sun. In circumstances like these, a vitamin D lamp might be of assistance in simulating the effects of natural sunlight and enhancing the production of vitamin D in situations when it is difficult to acquire enough sunlight. It is even more important to rely on dietary sources and supplements in order to keep vitamin D levels at an appropriate level. Eat vitamin D-rich foods daily. Even though the amount of vitamin D that you consume may not be sufficient to fulfill your body's requirements, increasing your intake of foods that are high in vitamin D will help you achieve higher levels and improve your overall health. Fish that are high in fat, such as salmon, mackerel, sardines, and tuna, are among the finest sources of vitamin D that can be found in diet. In a serving size of 3.5 ounces, salmon contains approximately 570 international units of vitamin D, which is equivalent to the majority of the daily requirement. Egg yolks are yet another source of this substance, with around 40 international units of vitamin D contained in a single yolk. Intake can be easily increased by consuming dairy products such as milk, yogurt, and cheese, which are among the many dairy products that have been fortified with vitamin D in addition. Mushrooms are an excellent option for vegetarians because they are the only plant-based food that naturally produces vitamin D when they are exposed to sunlight. Due to the fact that it can be difficult to receive sufficient vitamin D from food alone, a significant number of elderly people may require supplements in order to fulfill their daily requirements and keep their health in the best possible condition. Take a regular vitamin D supplement in situations where dietary consumption and exposure to sunlight are insufficient. Vitamin D supplements are typically the most reliable option for senior citizens to maintain healthy levels of vitamin D. The recommended daily consumption is based on the individual's age. It is estimated that adults aged 50 to 70 consume 600 international units on a daily basis, whereas adults aged 70 and older consume between 800 and 900 international units on a daily basis, or up to 2.000 international units on a daily basis. Because cholecalciferol, also known as vitamin D3, is superior to vitamin D2 in terms of its efficacy and its ability to be absorbed by the body, it is the most superior supplement. Given that vitamin D is fat-soluble, it is recommended that it be consumed alongside a meal that is rich in healthy fats in order to enhance its absorption. Before beginning the use of any new supplement, it is essential to consult with a qualified medical practitioner in order to determine the optimum dosage that is based on your specific medical needs. Combine magnesium with vitamin D. You may not be aware of this, But magnesium is required for the body to activate vitamin D. If you do not consume an adequate amount of magnesium, your body will not be able to properly absorb or utilize vitamin D regardless of how much vitamin D you get from food, pills, or exposure to sunlight. Consume meals that are high in magnesium in order to stimulate the production of vitamin D. Whole grains such as brown rice and oats, leafy greens such as spinach and kale, and nuts and seeds such as almonds and pumpkin seeds are some of the most abundant sources of this nutrient. Those individuals who have difficulty obtaining sufficient magnesium from their diet alone may discover that taking a magnesium supplement is really beneficial. When paired with vitamin D, magnesium has the potential to improve bone health, maintain muscle strength, and increase overall mobility. When will you see benefits, and how long will it take? It is important to keep this in mind if your vitamin D levels are low to begin with. It may take some time before you achieve what is considered to be optimal levels and see noticeable improvements. A fortnight, less muscle cramping overall, a greater amount of energy. 1 month, increased strength in the legs, improved balance. 3 months, a higher bone density than average, a decreased likelihood of falling. Studies have shown that vitamin D supplementation for a period of 3 to 6 months results in a reduction in falls by 31%, an increase in muscle strength by 35%, and a reduction in fractures by 40%. Consistency is of the utmost importance. Consuming vitamin D on a consistent basis will assist in the preservation of leg strength for many years to come. Take action now. When it comes to maintaining your mobility, avoiding falls, and maintaining your independence, making vitamin D a priority is absolutely necessary, due to the fact that many elderly people are not receiving enough care. It is essential to take initiative. What are you able to accomplish at this moment? Aim to spend 20 to 30 minutes in the sun on multiple occasions per week. Consume foods that are high in vitamin D such as dairy products, eggs, and fatty fish every day. Consume between 800 and 2.000 international units of high-quality vitamin D. Incorporation magnesium into the mix for enhanced absorption. Maintain a consistent check on your vitamin D levels. We are grateful that you stayed with the video until it was finished. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel if you find it helpful. This will allow you to receive additional healthcare advice for persons over the age of 60. Also, if you have any inquiries or feedback, please feel free to leave a comment below. We are always listening to what you have to say. Do you feel that you are getting enough vitamin D in your diet? Comment below and tell us what you think.